That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there. There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla.
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that biggin.
All right, welcome in everybody to the BAM Pod. This is your host, Big Ed, and on the line tonight, I went out, and I'll tell you what, this guy just did a really good deal. I mean, he went out to the Bassmaster Elite Series event on Santee Cooper and walked away with the big check. Got a first place right there, and on the line, we have got Luke Palmer. Luke, welcome into the show, my friend.
How you doing?
Oh, hey, we're doing good, but, you know, I want to tell you guys a little bit about Luke right here, because this guy he just became a super friend of the show because I called him right after he won this event. First, he picked up the phone. Second, he was on a beach just swilling a beer and having a good time, kicking back, relaxing. And I'll tell you what, he still had time to pick up the phone for me. So, you know, y'all show him some love. We're going to talk a little bit about him tonight. Let him talk about what he kind of did. We're going to talk about some fishing, this time of year, what it's all about. And, just to kick this off, Luke, I want to tell everybody a little bit about, it's never easy to go out and win an event like this. You put in a lot of hard work. I'm guessing you put in a lot of hard work. I mean, maybe you just went out there and caught fish. I don't know.
No, it was definitely a challenge. It was a different tournament. It was very different because what I found in practice, I didn't catch but one fish doing it in the tournament. So I had to go off some history that I had there. I mean, I've spent a lot of hours on the lake, really. I mean, it's not a place I've been a lot. I came and looked at it in pre-practice because I had a day or two. And just that little bit extra time kind of gave me a little more insight about the lake, because the lake the eelgrass has exploded there, and it wasn't like that last year when I done well there. They had some, but not like it is now. There's eelgrass everywhere.
So was the eelgrass what you were mainly targeting because it exploded and because it pretty much took over the lake, or is it just like you avoided it?
No, I was involved with it. That the eelgrass played. That's what I caught my fish out of in practice. I stayed. I mean, guys caught them in the tournament out of it, obviously, but where I was at, it was not. I was catching them, not really good in practice, but enough to keep me. I said, hey, if I can get 5 or 6 bites out here in this eelgrass, I can slam it here. I mean, I thought there was a 25, 25 bag doing it, but it was just a matter of I had to get 5 bites, and it was kind of cool in practice. It wasn't real warm. And I had to change up because it got warmer during the tournament, and those fish pulled to those trees. And when I figured out the tree deal, it was almost game over.
Now everybody could pretty much watch it, go on there and watch it. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what, like you said, you went into practice, you were, on a certain pattern, got there, and it's like, and I'm on to nothing. I need to figure it out. In an average day, a guy goes out and they're just going fishing. Now they're fishing a little bit more. You're fishing a little bit more than the average guy, out there on the water. How did you decide, I don't know, it's kind of easy for me or the next guy to sit there and go, oh, he found him in grass and he found him on trees. But that's not normally how, it's not like, oh, I found him on grass and trees. How did you break that down? And kind of this time of year, we're going that transition. I don't know exactly where Santee Cooper is. As far as, the lake itself, as far as like the transition points, and is it post-spawn right now? Is it pre-spawn? Is it kind of everything? And how did you come up with that pattern? Did you stumble across it?
I mean, I went off of some history from later. I caught them on the same tide cruise to an extent. Maybe I caught some in the same area. I had to expand. A better area was actually further down the lake, and in practice I was actually looking for a shad spawn deal. I thought the fish would be relatively done spawning, catch the tail end. So I was looking for that transition area of those fish having that deeper water close. Santee is not very deep anyway, but it has a depression, from your trees being in 1 foot to 3 foot of water. I was concentrating from 2.5 to 4 footer on those trees. and it looked like I just demolished the fish. I mean, it looked like when you go to look at the numbers, heck, it looks like I caught 40 fish a day. No, I was getting literally 7 to 10 bites a day, and I would find 2 or 3 magic trees, I called them, that would have multiple fish on them. And when you find 2 or 3, 4 trees that got 2 to 4 fish on them, it doesn't take as long to get to 5 fish that way. But it was tough figuring them out because I never caught fish off the same trees, so I had to expand water every day and just fish. I mean, because you can't go down through there and graft the trees, shallow. So it was like you had to actually pick up the flipping stick and go fishing. I mean, everybody watched. I caught a lot of them off live scope, and it helped speed up the process of finding those trees. But you still had to fish them. It wasn't like, I mean, I went by trees that I actually scoped them and didn't see a fish on them, and I would be getting up closer to them, going to the next tree, and I just so happened to see them. And so I'd have to make them move somehow, if I got on top of them. So then I'd have to back off and let them reposition before I'd start catching them. But you just had to keep your head down. It wasn't, I mean, I'd liable to fish 40 to 100 trees a day before I'd run across 2 or 3 or 4 trees that were good. So, I mean, it was a grind. I mean, there was a lot of trolling motor time. I mean, it wasn't just pull up and whack fest on them. I can guarantee you that.
What stage is this lake in right now? Is Santee Cooper in? What is it spawn? Is it post pre?
It's got everything going on right now, but it's saying probably 75% of the fish are done spawning. And the locals will probably say, no, I'm lying. We don't know. And I don't, because heck, it's from South Carolina. I'm in Oklahoma. And I mean, I stayed with Patrick, and he's like, dude, we still have fish spawning in May. They're very few and far between, but they still are. If ever fish spawned in March, then, there wouldn't be enough room for beds on the lake. So I would say definitely 75%, maybe even 80% is probably already spawned. And because the water was getting in the 70s already when we were there. So they were getting done. And I think the shad spawn is going to start. And I think they've already had a shad spawn. I think there's another one coming now. Then the bluegill bite's going to happen. So you're definitely looking at that post spawn. They're going to start getting to their summer trees and just getting in those deeper depressions, brush piles, and getting away from the bank where I like to be all the time.
I was just going to say, because that's kind of your thing. Last time we talked, you had talked about you kind of like the little more offshore, finding some structure that's a little more isolated, and that's what you kind of key. Now you're fishing, all this obviously stuff you can see, and you're trying to make this adjustment, and it seemed to pay off, obviously. But is that you say it's a grind. Is that a tough adjustment to make, for you to go and say, hey, I'm going to all of a sudden fish stuff that I can see instead of stuff I can't really see, but I'm going to aim at that.
Yeah, it was. But at 1:30 when I didn't have a fish in the boat, I said, Luke, you better start doing something. I mean, I never got super frustrated. I was frustrated. I was like, how in the heck am I not catching my? And I knew it was going to be a grind. I knew I was looking at 5, 6, 7 bites a day doing it. And that's if I kept doing it. And when I pulled out to a tree that I have caught a few fish off of in the last few years we've been there, and there was 2 on it, and I caught them both. And I was like, well, you might be doing something. I said, well, I got some other trees. I'll hopefully catch them that I knew had some fish on them. And then I found one tree that first I caught a 7.5, then a 4, and then a 3 out of the same tree. So it was one of them other trees that they were just there. I mean, there were gardens spawning on it. It was pretty interesting. But for me to just pack up and go away from the game plan I initially had, I'm hard headed. And when I get confidence in what I'm doing, it's really hard to leave. I mean, I had 7, 8 rods on the deck, and that's all I had. And 4 of them had the same thing tied on. But it was definitely tough for me to change. But sometimes in this league, you got 4 days of fish. 2 days you get to fish for sure, but day 3 and day 4, there's cuts. And if I don't cash a check, we're eating McDonald's and buying sausages home instead of go and get off the dollar menu. It was we was eating Chick-fil-A on Monday instead of. So it was. That's the difference. I mean, you got to make checks to stay on the road with it, because I mean it's. As well as I do, it's expensive to do anything now. And so this check really helped, actually, a lot.
Yeah, it's a little easier to pay the rest of the bills and still be out there on the water, and like you said, and go to eating steak instead of McDonald's.
Exactly.
But that kind of leads me to that question. You're out there and you're looking at a sea of cypress trees, cypress knees, cypress trees, grass, blah blah blah. It's all there, right?
Yep.
How do you Now you're just telling me you just picked up and said, I'm going to start throwing at everything I can and just hit these. Did you, while you're looking at this, because cypress trees and stuff are always a mystery to me, because I have yet to fish a lake that has them in it, and fishing 3 feet of water, 2 feet of water, whatever it is, it's just tough to think of here. But on the out here on the West Coast, and I'm sure in Oklahoma it's probably the same. But how do you decide which one? And was there like a surprise when you found the trees that were holding fish? Was it like that is holding something?
Bass Angler Magazine is your guide to better bass fishing. Bass Angler is dedicated to helping you catch more and bigger bass no matter what time of year or where you live. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. Every issue is jam-packed with 30-plus articles from the world's best bass anglers. Bass Angler Magazine is available at bassanglermag.com, Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, Gander Mountain, Walmart, and better tackle shops everywhere. Bass Angler also makes a great gift for any angler. Get Bass Angler today and start catching more bass tomorrow. Visit bassanglermag.com or your favorite tackle shop. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. bassanglermag.com.
They were a few of the trees that I caught them off of. They were pretty obvious. Like you knew eventually something was going to pull, because a lot of them were outside trees. The real shallow trees, I could get bit off of them every now and then, but you're looking at, it's nuts how many trees there are. I mean, it's crazy. But to figure out the higher percentage trees would have eelgrass around them, and there would be a void in between the tree and the grass. It allowed to be 2 foot in between it. And those trees, I mean, I'd go through 40 of them before I'd found one that had 3 or 4 fish on it. But those are the ones that almost you're guaranteed sometimes to have fish on them. But then on day 4, when I caught I caught 4 fish out of one tree, that tree had no grass around it. I have never, ever seen a fish on that tree in 3 years. And there was 4 on it, and, catch 25 pounds there off of 2 trees. So it was one of them deals that you just didn't know. I mean, I was going down through there, and it was just, I scoped over, and I only seen 2 on it when I first went by it. And then when I turned around and I caught 2, and another one pulled up there on it, I caught it. And then another one pulled up on it, and I caught it. And I was like, well, this is meant to happen. You just have to you just had to go fish them. I mean, it was, I know everybody's, well, all you do is use live scope. No, I did a lot, but there was quite a few fish on day 1 and day 2 when I didn't have a camera that I never seen. I would flip up there, and all of a sudden my line would go off. I mean, normally the female would bite first, which is very awkward. Normally, the male runs over there, grabs it, and takes off. But a lot of time it was the big female that bit first, and which was nice. I mean, you catch the big one first, you don't have to sit there and struggle for 2 hours. But if you just went down through there flipping, and you made enough flips, you'd eventually run across a fish that was going to bite. So it was, the live scope obviously helped me catch multiple fish off trees. But I think even without live scope, if you just really went to town and put your head down, I think you could have still caught the fish anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's, I mean, you say, oh, you catch the female first, and that you're right. That's not normally how that goes. But in this case, it was. Now, could you see the fish? Was the water clear enough to see the fish, or was it pretty dirtied up?
You could if you'd have got right on top of them. I mean, when I'm talking, I'm seeing them. I see them on scope most of the time. Right. But there were some that were shallow enough, and I mean, I could see 1.5 feet, sometimes 2 feet. So if I would really got right up on top of them, I think I could have probably seen the fish.
Okay, so but it wasn't your main thing. You weren't like trying to sight fish or anything else. It was just cover some water, get into the areas where you felt like from history that you felt like there was good fish or could be fish, and then just cover water and cover water and cover water.
It was it was tough. I mean, because I went around a set of trees that I caught only 2 off of day 1. I roll in there on day 2, and I catch like a 7, and then I catch a 5, and then a 3 off of trees that I fished the day before, and I never got a bite off of on day 1. And then all of a sudden they pull back up there on day 2, and then day 3 and day 4, I never got a bite off of them again.
So basically, if it was more isolated cover, it had better fish on it, or it seemed to hold better fish.
Well, it just seemed like it was more susceptible to having a fish on it, because, and it could have just, you have clusters that you're having to fish them a lot harder and take time to fish them, where the isolated ones were a lot easier to just pull up there and make 5 flips to and then roll to the next tree.
Right. That makes sense this time. Like you said, especially if there's so many, still, you said about 75% was already spawned, but if there's some spawning fish up there and they're working on an isolated tree, it seems like that's going to be, the place that'll hold them a little easier. And like you said, a little easier to fish. You don't have to pick it apart so hard. As this kind of goes on now, I know you're off of Santee Cooper, and what's your next event coming up?
We have Lay Lake in Alabama. I think it starts next week. Trip.
Next week starts the practice for that.
Yes, yeah. It's gonna be I'm pretty sure they're probably done spawning, but it's gonna be a good chance spawning, I imagine. So it's actually a little bit better wheelhouse for me. I mean, it's gonna be shallow water deal, water willow, docks, lay downs and stuff like that, which is something I like to do. But it'll be interesting what happens. It's got a ton of fish in it. I know the weights won't be near as high at all as what we were just dealt with. But it's 17, 18 pound bag. You're going to be putting yourself way up there, because a lot of average bags, I think, will probably be 11 to 13 pounds. So
okay,
it'll be a complete shocker than what we just dealt with.
Yeah. What are the main fish that you're fishing for in that one? Smallmouth, largemouth, spots?
It's kind of a good population of spotted bass in it. I mean, I'll probably stick with largemouth because I'm not very good with the current oriented fish. So I'll probably stick with largemouth beds and stuff like that. I mean, not to say that the spots are you can win it with spots. I think, but I think you're going to have to mix it up. I don't see it just being a strictly spot deal though.
Okay. Now going into this one, like you said, it's going to be post spawn, more than likely going to be post spawn. You're fishing for largemouth this one. What are you thinking off the top of your head? Just like, hey, you know what? This is how I'm going to attack this lake right off the bat. I'm going to go out and I'm going to, put this rod in my hand and I'm going to go. What is that that you got in your mind?
It's swim jig lake big time, because that water willow grass. Booyah has the mobster, which is one of my favorite swim jigs to throw, and I'll probably have 2 of those tied on, and with some braid and a Falcon Amistad, just like I threw last week, and I'm going to swim a jig until the cows come home. Probably. I like doing that. It's a lot of fun. I've done it. That's what I've made a lot of money back home doing. So I'm definitely going to have a couple of them tied on, and I really hope it works out, because that could be a lot of fun. I mean, obviously it's going to be water deal, frogs, buzz bait type deal. Obviously a chatterbait. I think a chatterbait catches them everywhere we go in the country, it seems like. So, but there's going to be some guys run to the dam. They have the dam generates through there, and it pumps the water when they have current. Those fish up there really bite. I mean, I know they bite when there's not as much current, but when the current's ripping, they can crack their heads up there. So, which then all that in turn, when they have current up there, that's going to give current and so when that current's coming through, they'll pass in that grass and stuff like that, they'll bite off of that too.
Well, now, that gives me a good question here is, you just said, you're not the biggest current fisherman. It's not kind of your strong suit. You like to, fish a little more. Is it going to make a difference one way or the other? Out here on the West Coast, we get current because we have, we fish like the Delta, the California Delta, things like that. So we're used to fishing, hey, when the current's going, the fish are biting a little better. Does that necessarily play out for you, or are you really looking and hoping that it's like, if they don't generate a lot of current, I'll still be okay?
I'd rather them not generate, because I don't river. I say that I will go up the river too, because I spent in pre-practice. I went up there and kind of checked it out, and 2.5, 3 foot high, and they were ripping current. But I think it would be better off if they didn't for me, just because I'm going to stick to the main largemouth. I'm not saying you're liable to catch a 3 or 4 pound spot down there doing what I'm doing too, but I'm going to stick with largemouth, sticking 6 inches of water or less, because that's what I like to do, and go with that game plan.
Yeah. Does that come from fishing in Oklahoma like that, where you're fishing a lot of really, really shallow stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've made my money in Oklahoma and done well in less than 5 foot of water my whole life, no matter if it's snowing or if it's 110. That's what I grew up doing. And when you grow up doing something, it's hard to get away from it. I mean, you look at Oklahoma guys. Christy does good up shallow. Tommy Biffle's done good up shallow. Edwin's done good deep and shallow. But it's just, I'm more comfortable doing that. I'm not a good deep water fisherman, and I'm not going to do something I'm not comfortable with against these guys. Because if you get uncomfortable, they're going to take your money and beat your teeth in every single time. I mean, you got to be comfortable and confident in what you're doing, and that's kind of what I got to stick with. I mean, that's the reason at Santee, I think I do well here, because it's a grinder. It's not like you just go catch 100 fish a day. They're big ones, but I just put my head down and go fishing, and that's what I had to do in Oklahoma all these years, is just put your head down, look for 6 or 7 bites a day, and you'll be all right.
Okay. That is a tough way to fish, but I know, coming from Oklahoma, from the guys that I've talked to, yourself included, that Oklahoma can be one of those places where you really learn to fish that way. And the way, and that's where the fish are going to be hanging out a lot, is that they're going to be shallow. You're going to have to work for them. And, it kind of dictates across the country. So when you got to this event on Santee Cooper, it felt a little better, that you were able to catch fish that way. Because if it had been an offshore thing and those fish hadn't been moved up. So with that said, is this your time of the year to really shine? Do you feel the most comfortable this time of year with fish moving up towards the shore?
Yeah, I definitely like them when they're coming. April, May, about anywhere in the country, you can stay shallow and still catch them. I mean, you get on the Tennessee River ledge stuff, that's probably not going to be a place you better stay shallow as long, just because those fish, they come up spawn and they get back out to the ledge. That's just what they do. That's why some of my worst finishes have been right there on the Tennessee River. But I definitely, I've always loved end of March, 1st of April, and even into May is always really good. Memorial Day in Oklahoma is normally the Mecca for me. I mean, that's when deals you go out to 100 fish a day, and they're all shallow. The shad spawn's going nuts. I mean, it's just normally that's a great time. And normally it's high. We get a little bit of rain through there, and it gets in the bushes and a little dirty water, and that's what I enjoy.
You've said that a couple times now. The shad spawn's going to start up here in this shop. How many times do they spawn during the course of the year? Couple, 3 times, 4 times? I
couldn't tell you. I just know it. They're probably like bass. Everyone spawns at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I think they had a shad spawn earlier here at Santee because it was warmer, fell back off because it was cold during practice. I'm saying cold. It was like in upper 40s, maybe low 50s, and it would get maybe to 70.
Right.
So that to me was cold.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The way it just set up, and the way, and I know, and hey, trust me, I'm from California, so when it gets into the 60s, I'm cold too. But it's one of those things that, I often hear, talking about the shad spawns going on, or, blueback herring or whatever going on. How do you really see that? I mean, how do you just there's a shad spawn going on. We know that's going on. How do you know? I mean, I've never really seen shad spawn that much. I know they do, and I know that we fish during that time of year, but I've never seen, what points that out? Is it just?
I mean, normally, when the water normally gets close to 70, normally 70 is a prime number for me to when you start seeing it. You can actually visually see the shad spawn. They'll be spawning on docks, or they'll actually be right on the bank, and the bass will be blowing them plumb up on the bank. The spawn's a little bit different. I didn't understand it as much here when we were at Murray. they actually don't run up on the bank like I was expecting. They'll be running down the bank. You won't actually see them visually up on the rocks, just spawn like crazy. So that took me a little bit of learning curve to do that. Because our ones in Oklahoma, them shad, you'll be going down the bank and there'll be jillions of them up there, just right on the edge of the rocks in 2 inches of water.
Oh, okay.
And then they get obliterated. So, and then when you're around styrofoam floats or anything like that on docks, they'll be spawning right on the edge of those two. Anytime you find some hard cover, that's where they're going to be at.
Okay, so it's just the areas you look for, the water temperature and that sort of thing, and like you said, you'll actually start seeing the spawn happen. It's not exactly like bass. They don't go up, make a bed, and just go. They just coat an area, or
no, it's all about. I mean, I've been running down the bank or running down the lake and look over and see birds diving or being lined up. Normally, you look for the gray herrings or whatever they are, blue herrings. You see them lined up, you better swing in because it can happen anywhere. Is kind of what's wild about it. But as long as I have some rock or docks around, there's going to be some shad spawn happening.
Okay, and then what's your number one bait when you start seeing that? What's your bait that you go over, pick it up? It's like, oh, I better get over there with a spinner bait or a crank bait or.
I've always been a war eagle spinner bait guy. Like when that shad was on, I can pick it up and either burn it around docks or you can throw it around the bank. And I mean, if I want to throw a top water, I like throwing a Boss Pop or something like that. That time of year, I like the popping style bait. Sometimes over like a Zara spook in that situation. I know a Zara spook seems like it gets bigger bites, but I can feel like I can cover more water with my Boss Pop than I can even a Zara spook. You can throw it a country mile, but I like short cast and really put the bait right on top of the fish and not have to worry about making too much noise running around.
Now, is that bait a little bit smaller? I mean, you talk about like the War Eagle spinner baits, is there a size you're looking for? You trying to match that hatch as that? Or is it just kind of like, as long as it's a spinner bait, as long as it's making some flash and doing its thing, it's fine?
I do to an extent. I like the War Eagle because the blade combinations it's about the right size for the shad that we fish for, or the shad size that the bass eat. And I really like how I can move it faster. And that way when you can snap your rod, make the blades flare. And then plus their colors, you can get plum translucent, and then also you can get plum to coleslaw, which is white, orange, crazy, but cover water with it a lot faster because shad spawn's going on, you better be covering water. Because whenever you find this little school of bass that's wiping those shad out, you can catch them all real quick and in a hurry. So, and it only happens for a little while, in the mornings when the sun gets up and gets hot, shad spawn's done. Then you got to back off and do your other finesse stuff, which is no fun. So I like to get it up there and get shallow and just.
Bass U, folks. Information is pouring over. If you want to learn more about every lake, how to fish shallow, deep, in between, skipping docks and rocks and cranking, slow wiggling, chatter, smattering, you get it at Bass U. We got the best of the best. If somebody's ever caught a bass on something and perfected the technique, we got you covered. Get on Bass U TV, check it out, sign up, be a member, be part of it, folks. Keep learning. I'm Gerald Swindle. Subscribe to Bass U.
So basically, your number one bait is that War Eagle spinner bait. Just the colors and everything else you just mentioned. It just gives you that much of an option, and you can burn it down the banks. You can get right in there because, like you said, it's gonna cut off basically, and not be able to be, the spawn's kind of over. For as soon as it gets up, gets high, that's off, and you got to go to someone else. You got to go start fishing something else. Now, with that said, you say it kind of dies off, it goes away. Is it at that point that what do you switch to? I mean, what is it now? It's like, okay, the shad spawn's over. It's the middle of the day. And a lot of guys, that's what they're going to be fishing. A lot of people, they go out and it's like, all right, it's the end of the day. Now the shad spawn's got, now what do I do? Are you still going to focus on shad in general? Or are you going to switch up and start fishing for different kind of baits, go down to a crawdad pattern or go to something else?
Yeah, that's normally whenever I'm going to pick up a jig or a woolly bug, something like that, and go to flip an isolated cover. Because those fish don't just go to the middle of the lake. I mean, you can back off and fish points, throw a Carolina rig or something boring like that. But I go to run an isolated cover. because hopefully by then I've got a limit, and all I'm doing is looking for 2 more bites. And that's when, when I pick up the flipping stick, and that's what I like to do. That's what I'm comfortable doing. I'm going to go cover as much water as I can with it. And like I said, 2 more bites after that, and you're normally all right.
Okay. So you've been doing this a while, and that, you're talking, hey, I cut a lot of checks. I get a lot of, this flipping that jig, and that's what you're comfortable with in your hand. And like you said, I think that's important for people to understand, is that, you need to stick with something that you actually feel comfortable with. Now, that being said, if that bite's not on, if your jig bite's just dead, it's like, dude, I ain't catching anything on jig right now. And that happens. I know that happens because, there's 5 events that you didn't cash a check at. So at least 5 events that jig didn't do its job. So, just in case anybody out there knows, this guy, Luke has fished 56 events now, and he's gotten a check at 50 of them. So apparently I was wrong. There's 6 events that thing didn't do any good at. So, let's talk a little bit about some, what's your next, your confidence, where does that go once that, it's like, God, this jig isn't working. What's your confidence bait after that? What do you kind of go to? Or are you just like struggling out there and going, whatever?
A little bit struggling normally, but now I'll drop shot. I will throw a drop shot or a shaky head. I probably shaky my worst enemy. Like, that's one thing I'm just not a big fan of, and I know it catches them, and that's just not what I like to do. But I put a young finesse worm on either one of them. Green pumpkin purple. Green pumpkin purple is probably my comfort zone for everything. I mean, that's picked up. It works everywhere. I will back off and do that, but I'm still going to be trying to find isolated cover, whether it be brush pile, rocks, or whatever. Even when I do back off to do that, and I don't know if it's, and I've even done it up shallow, just stay up there and keep hitting that same isolated stuff. You just might have to calm down and finesse them a little bit instead of throwing the big line at them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you mentioned, I don't know if you want me to edit that out, that you said that you do fish a drop shot or not, but it's there. Hey, it's one of those baits. I mean, it's I don't know. It's kind of like, hey, it works. It catches fish, and you can say whatever you want, but there's probably been enough checks cashed with a drop shot in their hand than more people want to admit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It catches fish. I mean, does it catch big ones? Yes. I mean, and you can get bit on it, and sometimes you just, and to get you in the right area, to get you going in the right direction anyway. So it is I do have some confidence in it. I mean, obviously I've got to. I mean, we have to be very versatile. If you're not versatile on this deal, it's not going to work. I mean, because guys will catch them. We fish in the dirt, or we fish up in 40 and 50, 60 foot of water, so you gotta be able to do a little bit of everything, or you probably won't be able to last on it.
Yeah. And that's an important thing, because one of the, when you started off, you were talking about, hey, I've got to fish against all these guys. So I better be doing something I'm comfortable with. Because there are some, I don't want to say, good sticks out there. There's some great sticks that you got to fish against out there. Those are guys who are out there making money doing something that's very hard to go and make money at doing, and they're still out there doing it. They make the classics. They make these. You've been to 4 classics now. Did you want to fish some more of them? Do you want to go back to a classic?
Well, that's my plan in life. I would like to never miss a classic. That's one thing. That's been my goal from when I started on the elites, was make the classic every year. Because even if you come in 40th to make the classic, you made it. And normally if you make the classic, you're going to make a little bit of money that year. You obviously got to get in the top 50 a lot to make the classic. So yeah, I want to make them. I mean, this year I was kind of stressing a little bit. I was kind of getting aggravated myself, and because it's in Oklahoma next year, and I'm not a great fisherman at Grand. I don't fish up there very much. Everybody's probably, I bet you're glad to go up there. And I'm really not. I mean, because especially if Christy makes it, he likes that place pretty well. But if I make it, I'm extra going to spend some time up there. I'm going to know every rock and lay down in it before we get out of there. But I'd like to be up there just because it's going to be close to my family. I have a ton of friends that I fished against from that way. and I think it would be fun to just to have that fan base there, and just for people to be able to come to see me there and to support me. So I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go to. I finally made it to my first one. I didn't make that qualify for, but I mean, I went to my first classic this year, and it was super special. And just to be around the crowd, to be around the action, the energy that was there, the amount of people. I mean, it was 164,000 people that went through that thing. And it, being in Oklahoma, it's not nearly as far away, as Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like you say, your family, your friends, everybody being there. Just a great event to come to, great part to be a part of. So, let's hope you get back up in there. Now, how many years you've been fishing on the Bassmasters?
5th year.
This will be your 5th year. So far you've kept up and you've done it. You've made it all 4 years that you've been fishing before. This is your 5th year going in, so don't miss this one, because you just said you got a bunch of family and friends in Oklahoma, and if you don't make this one,
I'll have to hear about.
Yeah, no, I know that. So we're gonna let's talk a little bit about what's coming up next here. You're going to lay. You got some events out there. Now we're getting out of the spring. We're getting into post spawn. Let's talk a little bit about summer fishing, because it is a lot different. It's leading up to basically everything you fish, coming into this new, or not this new season. We've had pretty much just, everybody's ramped up for the spawn. Now the spawn's going to be basically over everywhere you're going to go from here on out. And you got to go post spawn. Some people love, hey, the weather's good, it's nice, you get out there, you do a little sweating, do a little, making sure you drink a lot of water. And how does the fishing change, in your opinion, this way, going into summer?
For nearly 100 years, Grundens has built gear you can trust to keep you fishing no matter the weather conditions. With head-to-toe coverage of high-performance outerwear, sportswear, footwear, and much more, it's no wonder Grundens products are backed by some of the bass fishing's most prominent figures, such as Skeet Reese, Randall Tharp, Adrian Avina, and Jonathan Van Dam, just to name a few. Grundens. We are fishing.
It does. I mean, it's one of them deals that I'm still always going to start off with the top water. I mean, there's still always going to be a few shallow water fish that have maybe pulled up at night to feed or whatever. But then you're going to have to back up and do a few things different. I mean, now in the 2 to 6 foot range, it's going to be 8 to 15 foot. Okay. To where most of the fish, I mean, that's or probably 8 to 12 feet is a very good range to start at that time of year. There's a lot of fish that live in that range. Really, any time of the year, there's always that group of time of year. You're looking at 30%, 70% out deeper. So I'm going to play the odds, and you've got to back off and do it. I don't like to fish deeper at all, but I am still going to go target isolated structure. I mean, whether it be piles or stumps or docks or whatever, I like to have something to throw at. I can't just get out there and throw at a gravel bar like some guys do. That's not me at all. I've got to have something, I guess, because my fish in Oklahoma have always been so target oriented, and I've got to have something to toss at anyway. I can't just look at the bottom fiddling around out there. It's just not me. I got to feel something.
Now, even with live scope, basically, it's just not, it just doesn't feel right to you. I mean, that's
no.
I kind of look at these guys that are constantly down, looking at their screens, always live scope, or always, just always forward facing sonar looking and that stuff, trying to get that. Is it just not that comfortable for you to do that yet? Are you still learning that process? Is it, or is it just that, I mean, if the lakes, if they're out there feeding, I still need that structure. Is that something that you're trying to get away from? Are you trying to say, hey, I better learn this because I need to get, closer to cash and checks every time? Or is it just like, hey, I'm just going to do it the way I do it?
Now, I do use live scope quite a bit, and I've always got it on, and I'll be I'll be fishing, but I'm still going to be paying and looking every now and then checking, because you never know when you don't know a stump's out there beside you. Because I don't have six. Um, that one or two fish out there that you might have not caught that you can pick up with, it does make a difference. I mean, I'm going to run it. I mean, everybody else has got one in this league. I'm not going to, well, except John Cox. He's the only one. But I'm going to run it. I mean, not John Cox, and I don't read water like he does. He's really good at it. And I've got it. I'm going to use it. I mean, you got to. I mean, if it picks you up 3 more fish through a derby, that could be the difference between coming in 75th and 35th, So I'm going to use it. I mean, but I'm not going to just pull up to a brush. Say if I scope a brush pond, I don't see one in it, I'm not going to not throw in it, because them fish, they can lay bottom, they can lay behind a limb that you didn't see, or boat might have moved. You can miss them. It can't. I mean, I'm not that good. Maybe these guys that are hand at it can, but I've got to make sure there's not anything there before I move on to the next spot.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I personally think that's the better way to fish, anyways, and it does give guys, we're basically, I'm interviewing you here because there are plenty of people out there that hey, $3,000 in the front of their boat for some video machine might be a little tough to come by sometimes, and financially. So learning that there's still guys out there. I mean, Cox aside, it is one of those things that's on. It seems like it's on everybody's boat. It seems like it's out, but there's still plenty of ways to fish where you're just like you're talking about. We're just hey, that electronics isn't going to pick everything up. It can pick up most things, but it's not going to pick everything up. So don't be afraid to kind of go out, fish your strengths, and fish the way you want. That's basically what you're saying still.
Oh yeah, I mean, my dad, he won't look at it. He's got one. I gave him a boat a few years ago. He'll look, he turns it on, and he does use it some, but it's not like a dire need. He's going fishing, and yeah. I mean, especially the guys in that less than 5-6 foot of water, you're still going to compete really well, when it's shallow. When you do get out deeper and stuff, I mean, the live scope helps. I'm not gonna lie, it helps, obviously, but you can still do it. I mean, I know everybody in Oklahoma doesn't use a dang thing. I can guarantee you that. And they're still, I mean, the guys still go out in their aluminum boats, and well, now aluminum boats got 4 live scopes on them, but I mean, the guys, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the older boat and stuff. I've got one at the house, but
right.
The older stuff, they might not have them on there. Those guys are still catching fish. Go fish and learn to fish first.
Right. And
then get your live scope. You can dictate how to catch them without it, and then use that as another tool to help you catch them. Then I think it really helps you out, because if you're just strictly, for me, I mean, this, strictly opinion, if you're just looking at that dang thing all the time, you're missing a lot. I mean, if you're just zoned in on that and all of a sudden the fish comes up and you're not looking, or you see a flat, some shad flickering, and if you'd have had your head off of it, you would have caught a fish instead of being zoned in on it the whole time.
Right. And that, and that's very important in this, this whole thing. Like you said, I mean, you're out there fishing at the elite level, one of the best fishermen in the world, doing what you do for a living. And, this is the biggest key is still just go fishing. I mean, it's, go fishing and have fun.
Enjoy it. That's the thing. Yeah. I think, the guy in the back is screwed if the guy in the front's live scoping. So you make sure your buddy gets to catch a few fish too.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because I just did a couple interviews back with a lady that's been fishing out of the back of the boat, and she wants, she's going to work on the front eventually. But she said that exact same thing. She's like, if I get in the back of the boat and I look up and that guy's got his face buried in a one of these machines, she goes, I'm having a bad day. I know it right off the bat. I'm having a bad day.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be good at all.
That's where you learn to cast right over their shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 15 minutes left here. And I'd love to know just a little bit more, about you. What you do when you get off the water. What do you do? Who is Luke Palmer? Let's talk. Let's let some of these people out there kind of know what who you are, what you do. We haven't talked to you in a little bit, but I told you I'd still catch as soon as you won one. I'd have you on. So
I I go to work. I mean, this is a long way from home in a long time. I left out. I'm fishing the Central Opens this year, so I left out. I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. Fished the Open, and that might be 5 weeks, and drive straight home and go back to work at our hardware store. Since I got a week in between Alabama, I was like, I'm going to drive 15 hours from South Carolina, go home, work for 2 days, drive all the way back to Alabama and fish the next one. I was like, it ain't worth the drive for no more time, and I'm going to be there. So that you guys are going to have to handle it. Y'all been doing a good job handling it while I'm gone. So I'm going to be gone for a day or two extra. But now I'm still at the hardware store, still working all year long. When I'm not fishing, that's what I'm doing. Now I'm still cutting a little bit of grass, not a whole lot. Kind of got out of that because that's too much for Dad to have to do also when I'm gone. And still helping Dad do cattle. I mean, he runs around anywhere from 90 to about 100. We're working cows, doing something like that every weekend. But I'm still, even when I'm home, I'm still fishing. Me and my dad, any chance I get to go with my dad, I go. I've missed not getting to fish with him the last 5 years. That's really sucked because we were a very good team. We get along very well. And doing that, it was fun. So when I'm home, me and him are going fishing on Sundays. I mean, if I'm home, there's a very rare chance that we're going to miss a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday. So keep trying to do that. And then plus I got my niece. She's 4 now. Yeah, she's 4. And missed her birthday the other day again. We're always gone during her birthday. So, and they sent me a picture where she'd caught her first fish the other day. So that sucked not being there for that, I can guarantee you. But when I get back here in a couple of weeks, I'm definitely going to grab her and take her out to the pond and go catch her another fish or two. I'll be happy to do that. That's one thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're obviously such a family guy. Everything about it is what you kind of do. You enjoy the whole family life, doing the thing around it. The kids only known you as a fisherman now anyway, so I mean it's I don't know, her uncle's one of the pro fishermen and out there fishing some of the elite stuff out in this world. You know how much of a drain is it, just being on the road, and I know you don't, you'd love to be doing this full time 100% of the time, but it's expensive to do, and having good sponsors and that sort of thing. But how draining is it to kind of be away from family all the time?
I'll probably get bashed for this, but it sucks. It does. And it does. I've missed, like I said, I've missed Mila's every birthday. Normally I'm gone. I miss my mom's birthday. I miss my sister's in December, so I don't miss it. But my dad's is right before I leave in January, so I missed a lot of stuff. I mean, I missed her first Mila's T-ball game, her first one the other day. You miss a lot of things, and I mean, I'm really close to my family. Obviously, we all work together at the hardware store. My mom's a teacher, but my dad are in the store together, so I'm there with them every day. I've been there every day. In my small town, everybody knows everybody. Right. So being gone from that, it does get draining. I mean, as you come back and mom's told me such and such has passed away. Well, I had no idea, and I was actually, decent friends with them, and you miss a lot of stuff. That part is tough. I wouldn't trade this dream that I'm getting to live for anything in the world. I mean, only thing that I would trade would be the time back that you're gone. Yeah. It is. But I've got to fish some hellacious fisheries, and I've got to experience a lot of things. I've come back to South Carolina, or not. I ain't even left it yet. I literally drove from Santee, picked my stuff up there, and I drove back up to Lake Murray, and we stayed with some guys a couple of weeks ago, and hell, they're already like family. They said, "No, anytime you want to come back." I said, "Well, we'll be back here in about 10 days then." Sure enough, we're back, and we're going to have us eating and having a good time and hang out and go fish Murray for a day. And and just get to hang out with them and it not be a stress related fishing the whole time. So I've been looking forward to that just to see them. All of them drove down and came to the weigh-in at Santee. So it was like, I don't have my family there, but I do have some people that support the hell out of me already, and they ain't known me very long. So it's fun. I've met some people that they're truly happy for you when you win.
Yeah.
That's what's cool. They didn't know me from Adam when I showed up here, and then like I said, to be back at their house, living here like I own the dang thing pretty much. That's how good a family they are to me already. So it's neat. I've got to learn a lot. I've lost a few things that, not being home, but I've also gained a lot of things. And, maybe that's my calling in life. I don't know. Whatever God tells me to do, what position he puts me in, I guess that's better to listen and go on and do what he says, though, because he had never steered me wrong yet.
So in everything you said there, and I'll go super personal. I didn't hear about any wife in there.
No wife. It's just me. Well, I got my YouTube going now, and I actually he's actually probably one of my best buddies, named Aaron Scripcheck. He travels with me, and they produce a hunting show, The Breaking Point.
Okay.
And kind of met him, and I've known him for 3 or 4 years now, and then he's always been on me. You need to get a YouTube going. I said, I ain't doing that stuff. That's not me. And here we are. He does a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Getting the photos that he does. He's really good at what he does. And that's what people are like, hell, y'all get along better than brothers. I said, we're so easy going. We get along. He keeps me up, keeps me going, and, things get bad. He's right there. So that made this one even a little better to win with him here. Cause it's, like I said, I think he's more excited about me winning than I was. So yeah. Guys, camper. I've got my queen size up front, and the pull out, like the table, it goes down to a bed. So that's his bed. So it's not much room for a girl to be staying there anyway. So
okay,
we'll just keep it that way. It's a lot simple. So we'll keep it that way. Wow.
Okay, I thought maybe you were going to tell me that the YouTube channel was your way of dating now. You're just going to make that and see what comes up.
Dating apps and stuff like that. I don't need any of that.
That's all right. No reason, no putting you on the spot here. Nothing, they come along when they come along.
That'll be, and to have one that understands what we do and stuff, it's pretty tough. I mean, and I don't blame them. We're gone so much for 6-7 months out of the year, and we're on the road. So yeah, I get it. I understand.
That it makes for a tough life for everybody, and sometimes it's no reason to. Don't worry, you'll eventually get old. Talking about what's your YouTube channel now? If you got one coming up and you got some stuff, so tell everybody how they keep following you, how they keep watching what you're doing, and become Luke Palmer fans. So you got a nice little entourage everywhere you go.
Now the YouTube is living the bass life. It's just under Luke Palmer Fishing. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook's all Luke Palmer Fishing. I try to keep things simple because hell, I can't remember my name half the time. I just keep it simple like that, and we'll probably kick out the Murray footage next week, and then the week after that will be Santee, or it might be 2 weeks. He's got a lot of footage to go through. He said, hell, he's only had to work 2 days a week since most of the tournaments this year, so he's got 4 days of content to go through now. So I'm good. I'm having to put in work for a week or two.
Good. Okay. Well, that'll be good, man. I hope everybody gets out there. Again, that was Living the Bass Life, Luke Palmer Fishing. You can find him on just about everything out there. So yeah, go out and follow him, man. Luke, I'm going to wrap this up right now because we're just kind of at that point. So thanks for coming on, man. Congratulations again on the event. It was good to see you winning. Even though I'm not, one of your roadies, I was definitely excited to hear your name come up and, go back and watch some of it. So it was good to see you win. And just thanks for doing this, man. We really appreciate it here, Bam.
No problem. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to say goodbye to Luke, and in a couple weeks, Luke's going to be right in between. We just had John Pearl on, so now we're going to have Luke Palmer, and then next week we got Randy Howell. So there's a lot of really good stuff going on here, and so tune back in, and we'll see y'all on the next show. Thank you much for tuning in.